Gen X failed raising Gen Z.
Crying over taxes. Apparently, 54% of Gen Zers have shed real tears over taxes, according to a new survey, and 25% even thought about getting therapy for tax stress.
Gen X failed raising Gen Z. How did Gen X fail so badly raising Gen Z, and what are the implications of this? How is this going to affect us going further into the future? I've said it plenty of times that Gen Z are going to be a future generation of thieves and squatters, but we're going to really hammer out what the future for Gen Z really looks like and why Gen X failed raising Gen Z. Now, let's just go ahead and jump right into the first video.
My theory on what I think Gen X did to mess up parenting. My name is Kim Minch. I'm a mom of 5 adults and a certified parent coach who worked with parents of 18 to 25-year-olds every day. In my opinion, we grew up with parents who didn't know that validating our feelings was important, didn't know how to do that because previous generations to that didn't care either. And as a result, when we started having kids, when Gen X started having kids, we overcompensated trying to give our kids what we didn't have: emotional connection, validation of their feelings. But we went too far. We became too empathetic to a place where we didn't set boundaries with our kids because it might have hurt their feelings, or they might have an angry outburst. We were uncomfortable with our kids' big feelings. Therefore, we tiptoe around it to make sure that they don't have them. This has been a disservice to our kids. We need to correct this. You can validate and see your kids for who they are, which is important. Respect your kids for who they are, which is important, but not have to acquiesce and tiptoe around and not set boundaries with them. There has to be boundary setting.
Tax deadline's close, but no need for tears or breaking the bank on therapy. Here are some tips. Gather those docs. W-2s, 1099s, all of it.
I think most of us in the workforce have a bone to pick with Gen Z. This app, and several others, where it's Instagram, YouTube, whatever, is full of people posting videos of them just leaving in the middle of the shift without telling anyone, or just saying, well, I'm just never going to show up to work again. I don't like it. On behalf of all of your coworkers, get fucked. Listen, I get if a job isn't for you. If it's not something you enjoy, maybe you don't enjoy your boss, maybe it's a toxic workplace, or maybe it's just a job field you're finding out you don't like. That's fine. Tell somebody. Say, hey, you know what? This isn't working out. I'm not coming back. Or give a 2 weeks notice. Something. But whatever you do, don't just fucking not show up. I've had a few jobs I didn't like. I've had some bosses I didn't like. At the same time, I may not have liked them, but I would still at least give notice before I left. And I understand things have changed. Not everyone's giving a 2-week notice. You don't have to give a 2-week fucking notice. You just have to give a notice. For the 4th time, the 4th Gen Z worker we have hired at my job has not shown up. Second we get them done with training, because it takes about a month or two to go and learn all the systems, the computer equipment, the machinery, everything we got at this place. When we finally get them trained up to where they can be on the schedule and take over shifts, they just up and never call anybody again and never show up again. And this is the 4th time in a row for me in which the person who we just trained, who was supposed to show up and be on shift with me, has not shown.
Struggling a lot with money. There's living paycheck to paycheck, and then there's not even living paycheck to paycheck and simply not affording your basic bills. I live in San Diego. I moved here about a year ago after many months of planning with a lot of money in savings and income prospects, but those savings ran out and those income prospects did not come through. And for the last many months, I have been scrambling day after day, stressing so much about how to just get through my next grocery bill. I was on a government food assistance program, CalFresh, and I am on a government healthcare assistance program, Medi-Cal. I also was getting some assistance with my internet bill and my gas and electric bill, but the rent prices are just astronomical. I knew it was expensive living here, but I didn't know it was expensive until living here and being suffocated with the prices. My rent for 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, not even 600 square feet, is $2,595 per month. I signed on having a financial plan, but also not fully understanding the ins and outs of those expenses. It all went out the window. And the lease early, you might say. Well, then I'd have to pay $7,200. Especially with my baseline mental state of depression and stress, it has been really hard to find a job and have a job with enough hours to sustain the basic bill of rent plus everything else.
You know, guys, so I empathize for Gen Z in some ways. I acknowledge right off the bat that they are not making enough money to survive as a result of rising inflation. You know, they've been screwed. They've absolutely been screwed. Here's the thing, however, you know, welcome to reality, Gen Z, where we're all getting screwed. And, you know, you should have known this in advance. Millennials went to college, got these useless degrees, and all it did was it just raised the bar. So the college degree became the new high school diploma. Gen Z knew these things, okay? No one lied to Gen Z. Gen Z had the internet. They were watching all of this happen to the millennials. They knew that they should not go to college and get useless degrees because they were going to rack up tons of student loan debt, and the easy lives that they were promised was not going to happen. What did Gen Zers do? A lot of them went to college, racked up college student loan debt, got degrees that are not translating in the real world, and are now pissed off about it. And it's like, you knew this was going to happen. The millennials let you know this was going to happen. You weren't tricked into this. You just wanted easy lives, and you went and got snake oil, and you got screwed. No one's crying for you, bro. I've already said this. They're going to be a generation of thieves and squatters. Thieves and squatters, because they're not going to be able to survive this. They don't have the resilience to make it through hard times. They don't. They do not have the resilience to make it through hard times. And they're just going to, a lot of them are going to end up homeless. They're going to end up stealing. They're going to end up squatting. You know, they're going to end up being they're going to go into their full-blown hippie era. Right now is the golden era of Gen Z. I'm telling you, this is the golden age of Gen Z. This is as good as it's going to get with them. People think that they're bad now. No. This is the golden age. Because in 5 to 10 years, those of them that are still around, yes, keyword, still around, they're going to be destitute. They're going to be even angrier. Guys, Gen Zers, the oldest Gen Zers are 27 right now. All right. And at the time of making this video, we're just a few months. We're like 6 months away from 2025. They'll be 28. 28 in just 6 months, bro. 28 in 6 months. So do the math very carefully. 5 years from now, a lot of these bad muffins will be headed towards their mid-30s, while another batch are in their late 20s. What do you think that spells for society? They're going to be destitute and desperate. All right? And these are people who don't live very good lives. They look so old because they live such very poor lives. Gen X messed up with Gen Z. They screwed up with Gen Z. They gave them too much. They gifted them easy lives. They validated their feelings way too much. On one hand, you didn't want to raise your kids the way that the boomers raised us, because the boomers are like, oh, well, you turned out okay. Those are the ones that survived. Those are the ones that survived. The boomers were terrible parents. Absolutely horrible parents. Okay? And that's why Gen X had to raise themselves. They had to figure things out quickly if they wanted to live. They had to grow up much faster than they should have because they didn't have proper parents to take care of them. Gen X raised themselves. But understanding just how dangerous the lives were that they lived, they didn't want their kids to go through that because they wanted their kids to actually make it to adulthood. All right? But along the way, they gave their kids too much. They didn't make their kids properly work for things. They didn't make their kids appreciate things. They didn't say no enough. And as a result of that, Gen Z grew up believing that they were owed something. They were owed a job that was going to pay them a ton of money. They were owed a house as soon as they graduated from high school, or at the very, very latest college. They were owed the American dream, even though the American dream hasn't been around for the last 20 or 30 years. They were owed all of these things, and they could care less about reality. They could care less what anyone else has to say. They could care less if people were telling them, Gen Z, that's not how things work. They don't give a damn. These people are going back 100 years, saying 100 years ago, people didn't have to live with roommates, live with people that they didn't know as roommates. Yeah, bro, 100 years ago, they also didn't have Xbox. Didn't have PlayStation, bro, back then, okay? They didn't have a lot of the luxuries that you're enjoying right now. Not everyone had a toilet inside their homes, all right? Outhouses were still a thing. These people, these bad muffins, are completely disconnected from reality. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Gen X gave these people too much. They validated them way too much. They made them think that their opinions actually matter. They don't. And now that's the reason why they're trying to tell grown men and women what to do, what to think, and how to move it. And also open your wallet and hand over your cash. Like, who the heck do these bad muffins think that they are? The future of Gen Z and the failure of Gen X to properly set these people straight is going to just result in a large generation of people of thieves and squatters, and a lot of Gen Zers ending up in prison. Okay, they're going to be, guys. It's I call them the sleeping and farting generation, because they're not going to change their ways. If they're already pushing 30 years old and this is how they're living, they're going to be full-blown hippie in 10 years. 5 to 10 years, they're going to be going into 5 years, they're going to be going to their full-blown hippie phase. 10 years, they will be full-blown hippies. Full-blown hippies. All right? They already have bad hygiene now, but it's only going to get worse. All right? They're going to be very shysty people. You won't be able to trust even being around them. Can't even leave like a bottle of soda around them because you don't know if they're going to tamper with it or steal it. Okay? Like, you cannot trust. They are going to be so bad, just like the actual hippies were. Very, very shysty people. People you cannot trust whatsoever. And guess what, Gen X? I know a lot of Gen Xers are going to be pissed off with me for saying this. I don't care. All right? But now a lot of you that raise these bad muffins, all right, you spoiled them. You spoiled them. So you spoiled your kids. So now you're going to have to raise your grandkids right, okay? You spoiled the saying is, raise your kids right so you can spoil your grandkids. Well, guess what? You didn't raise your kids right, so now you spoiled your kids, so now you're going to have to raise your grandkids right. Because these bad muffins, and you already know it, they can't raise kids. So their kids, those of them that have any kids, those kids are going to either have to be raised by you or the state, all right? And I know a lot of you don't care, so, I mean, I guess the state could take care of your grandkids. Guess the state could take care of your grandkids. And we know what life is like in foster care. Those are rough times. Those are rough roads ahead. All right. This is the reality of it. Gen X failed raising these bad muffins. They gave them too much. They validated their emotions way too much. It's not to say that you don't validate them at all, but you have to set them straight. You have to let them know that their opinions do not entirely matter, especially when you're a kid, okay? Your opinion does not matter that much to me. I'm just going to be very, very clear. This doesn't mean that you completely ignore them, but you got to ignore them at least a little bit. You got to put them in their place. You got to let them know who's boss. And you cannot have this relationship where I'm your friend. No, you're the parent, okay? You're the parent. You have to set clear boundaries of who the parents are. Guys, you're going to see a lot of Gen Zers just walking around calling their parents by their first names. All right? A lot of you Gen Xers, you're listening right now. You're like, yeah, that's me. That's me. Your good for nothing little muffins come home and they're like, listen, Blake, I need some money right now. What do you need some money? What do you need money for, kid? All right. The latest Call of Duty just came out and I need to buy a copy of it. But wait a minute. Didn't you just do the digital download? It's DLC. It's DLC. No, it's not DLC because I've been checking that. I've been following it too. The DLC doesn't come out till October. We're in August right now. I want to pre-order it. Blake, listen, son. Are you using drugs again? What do you think I'm using drugs again? Why would you ask me if I'm using drugs? You're kind of tweaking a little bit, all right? You're sweating and it's hot outside, all right? You're gonna give me the money, or I'm gonna have to take the money. You're gonna take the money? That's right. I'm gonna take it. All right, old man. All right, old man. I knew this day was gonna come, old man. All right, you brought this on yourself, old man. Guys, this is Gen Z. This is Gen Z. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, consider checking out and subscribing to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race. Click the link in the description to get your free copy of The Blueprint. Guys, what do you think regarding all of this? Gen X failed raising Gen Z, and they're going to turn around and just destroy society. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.